Have you been asked to wear rubber bands with your braces? Well, I have a patient that decided to take me seriously. I'm super excited. I'm going to show you the power of rubber bands. A patient of ours came in, and as you can see in these before pictures, a little bit of our profile there, mostly a straight face, right? Lips aren't too far out or too sunken in, somewhat balanced in the profile. Look at the top teeth. Those top teeth were tipped back like this. You can see the alignment. So it's crowded there, but it also gives the illusion that our bite is closer than it actually is. If you go down to the right side picture, you can see that the canines, they actually hit something like this, right on top of each other. And if you go all the way over to the other side too, you can see canines hit something like that. So if you look at that position, we have a bite where the top teeth stick out in front of the bottom teeth like that, except you can't see it here because those teeth are tipped back. When you line up the teeth, it's gonna go wink, and you're gonna see that big gap in between those teeth. In addition, you can look in the front and we have somewhat of a deep bite. The top teeth come down past the bottom teeth. Well, when you're trying to fix a bite from side to side like that, or front to back, you gotta get rid of the deep bite. This is what we want. We want what we call a class 1, where the canine, top canine fits behind the bottom canine, generally speaking. That usually means we have minimal overbite and overjet. So the top teeth don't stick way out, are connected in the front. It's called good coupling. And the top teeth don't come down way past the bottom teeth, kind of right in the middle or higher. That can help you get to this intercuspator relationship. For us, it's not that rubber bands couldn't be used in this situation, but our initial plan was maybe you should consider the Herbst, because it gets glued into place and it just sits there and does the work for you instead of having to use rubber bands or being good at rubber bands. But this particular patient was like, no way, Jose, I want to do the rubber bands. So we decided to give it a go. And 2.5 months later, check this out. We ran a 4-ounce, 3/16 inch all the time. That's what we recommended. And then boom, not too many differences in the profile, right? So you can see that sometimes even these changes like this don't really affect the face, or at least the influence is minimal. Let's start by looking in the front picture, right? You can tell the difference. The center picture right here. The original picture showed that the top teeth were back and down. You couldn't see very much of the bottom teeth. Well, now look at that center picture. After wearing the rubber bands, we've pulled and lined teeth up. We've pulled the teeth forward. The teeth have come forward. And so now it's almost like you don't have any overbite. You're like almost edge to edge, which we don't really want that either, but we've done a lot of good work there. Then check out the side bites. If you look at the right side again from the beginning, we were with canine right on top of each other and then all the way back. In fact, we've probably gone on both sides a little bit further forward. Very impressive. A lot of tooth movement, right? Tipping teeth, and we are in a very good position. This patient was excellent with their compliance, 2.5 months, didn't have to use incredibly heavy forces, wasn't doubling up or anything like that. It's just fantastic. I was so happy. But since we've gone a little bit more forward than we need, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little vacation and we're gonna allow for some relaxing. See if the teeth can just kind of go back, but sometimes the constant forward position can help our muscles get accustomed to that. So we're gonna let a little bit of settling happen. If you've been asked to wear rubber bands, just do it. Get the good results. It can be awesome. A word of caution, if you have extremely excessive overjet or underbite, rubber bands really may not cut it for you. So if you get to this point where your teeth are like way in front of your bottom teeth, like your canine is completely in front, it may not be as predictable to use rubber bands. Could it work? Yes. Same thing with the underbites. The more severe you get, the harder it is to fix. What is a rubber band? Basically, what you would think a rubber band is, this is an orthodontic rubber band. It can be made out of latex or latex free. These are not the same thing as the colors that go on your braces. Sometimes people call those rubber bands like, my rubber band fell off. Well, not really. Sometimes we call those elastomers or ligatures. These are called elastics or rubber bands. And that's what we're talking about today. These guys right here. Rubber bands can come in different sizes. Apply 2 ounces of force, 4 ounces, 6 ounces, etc. They can be 1/4 inch in diameter or 3/16 inch. There's other measurements as well. And as far as when you wear rubber bands, it can be all the time, which is basically like 20 plus hours a day. Only take them out to eat and clean. Then there is most of the day, so more than 12 hours, 14, 16 hours, something like that, or just at night. And you wear them, you get instructions like that based on what you need to accomplish. Generally speaking, the most important thing about orthodontics tooth movement is light continuous force. At least that's the generally accepted theory that we pursue. That's very physiologic or most healthy for tooth movement. There are some people out there who try to put like double on, or they're like, hey, just give me a really heavy rubber band. Don't do that unless your orthodontist tells you to. For example, it shoves the tooth up against the bone and basically blocks off the blood flow to that area to help with bone remodeling. That's not bueno. That's not the right way to physiologically move move your tooth actually can slow tooth movement down. If you're wearing a rubber band at night, that can be a sign that you are trying to maintain what you've accomplished. If you're wearing them all the time, it probably means that you need a lot of work. You need something to happen, move. If you're doing it in between, like the majority of the day, but maybe not all the day, maybe the movement you're trying to get is not as much. So why do we even give rubber bands? First, to fix your bite, like an underbite or an overbite. What are we talking about here? Most people have a bite like this, which is what we want in orthodontics, right? We think this is the most functional, stable, healthy, all sorts of things, definitely the best looking. Then the next most common bite is a bite like this with excessive overjet. Most people call it overbite, but the orthodontic dental world, we call this excessive overjet, where your top teeth stick out in front of your bottom teeth. Rubber bands can be used to do something like that, right? Help us get to the position where we want to. Then there's another kind of bite, even less common. It's the underbite, where your bottom teeth stick out in front of your top teeth. Rubber bands can be used to influence the bite. For example, if you have an overbite, you hook up onto the top tooth here and down to the bottom. This type of rubber band, when it goes from the top and the front to the bottom and the back, that would be used for excessive overbite, what we call overjet. And the idea is that it helps tip these top teeth back, kind of tips them, and the bottom teeth, they maybe tip a little bit forward. And this whole section right here, and it can try to pull your teeth back, called correcting in class 2. Then you have the underbite, something like this, where your top teeth are behind your bottom teeth. You hook it from the back teeth down to the bottom teeth. Okay, it's basically the exact opposite. It's gonna try and pull the top teeth forward and the bottom teeth back. Rubber bands can also be used to pull teeth out. Sometimes you have teeth that are really high up in your bone still, or sometimes the tooth is coming out of the mouth. It's barely like poking through after a baby tooth fell out, and you hook an attachment there and then you put a rubber band on it and you pull it down to the bottom. And that continuous force helps the tooth come out, extrude the teeth. So that's another idea behind rubber bands. The final one is that rubber bands can be used to settle the bite. You're like, what is that? Well, check out that short that I recently did about all the elastics. That chick had like rubber bands. When you get into wires with orthodontics, or sometimes even with clear aligners, it just gets so rigid and the teeth move in ways that they don't quite fit together as perfectly or as naturally as you would want them to. By cutting wires or cutting the trays and then putting rubber bands in, it can help squeeze the teeth that much tighter together so that when you bite, it just feels really good all the way across. Rubber bands can be used for settling the bite. So I'm gonna add one more. Rubber bands can be used for anchorage. Equal and opposite reactions to everything. If we're trying to pull a tooth down, right? If we're trying to pull this tooth down, right next to it, it's gonna try to push that tooth up. And so what you can use is the rubber bands. You hook the rubber bands to the teeth next to it to try and keep them together, so that you can push the one tooth down and the other one doesn't go up. That rubber band acts as anchorage. It keeps those teeth together while we try to get the other teeth to do what we want. A few different reasons why your orthodontist might recommend rubber bands. But for those of you, most of you probably, who have moderate improvements to be made, you could do it. And it could be simple as wearing rubber bands. So if you have a need for rubber bands, come find us in McKinney Texas. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. That's all I've got, just a little PFO, so you know where you're going. Packard out.